will take us to, we have 4 briefings today, and the first briefing is on the flood preparation audit. Who's going to present on that, Mr. Auditor? There you go. Okay. As they're coming forward, I want to point out, since we're talking about the Watershed Protection Department, and we also have, there he is right there. He ran around on me. The director of the Watershed Protection Department is here with us, Jorge Morales, and I would like to point out that we're very proud of our director. He was named the Travis County Engineer of the Year by the Texas Society of Professional Engineers. And, you know, we're so proud of our staff, the professional public servants that we have working for the city of Austin. And we don't always call it out, and a lot of folks don't always know about the good work that gets done and the recognition. But what a high honor, and you make us very proud. So I wanted to call that out. And then let's pray the audit's good. No, I'm teasing. Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Kendall Byers, and I'm here with the Austin City Auditor's Office to present the results of our flood preparedness and awareness audit. The objective of this audit was, is the city addressing flood-related risks and informing the public about how to handle them? For this audit, we focused on flood-related activities before a flood event occurs. Austin is located in what is commonly known as Flash Flood Alley. This means that floods can happen quickly and can become severe. The city also has a history of flood emergencies that have resulted in damage that has cost millions, as well as the tragic loss of life. Updated rainfall studies show that Austin now faces heavier rainfall than in the past, and as a result, the floodplain has expanded and more buildings are now located within it. Everyone in the city faces some risk of flooding. This can come from overflowing creeks or heavy rain that pools and floods on the streets. Our analysis of Austin 311 flood-related service requests show that approximately 90% of requests originated from outside of the mapped floodplain. This demonstrates that residents and visitors don't need to be in a floodplain in order to experience flood risks and impacts. Our first finding is, while the city cannot fully eliminate flood risk, Austin Watershed Protection has a robust approach to flood preparedness. AWP's flood preparedness strategy is an ongoing year-round process. This includes mapping and regulations, flood damage reduction efforts, warning and response processes, and public information campaigns. The department uses the most up-to-date rainfall data to create maps and models to show flood risk. They also use strict regulations to manage development in the floodplain. The department reduces flood damage through capital improvement projects such as the Waller Creek Tunnel. They also manage and maintain a vast network of stormwater infrastructure. AWP has a flood early warning system that monitors and communicates flood conditions prior to and during a flood. They've also developed an emergency management program that expands their capacity to prepare for and respond to flood emergencies. The department conducts year-round ongoing outreach to inform the public about flood risk. Some of their efforts include community outreach events, use of social media, and providing online tools and resources. As a participant in FEMA's community rating system under the National Flood Insurance Program, Austin currently holds a Class 5 ranking. This provides residents with a 25% discount on flood insurance. Of the 74 Texas communities that participate in this program, only 2 other cities have a higher discount rate than Austin. While AWP has a robust approach to flood preparedness, we found that the department could do more to ensure that residents and visitors are aware of flood risks and that the department has the necessary data to plan and measure their work. When compared to leading communities, we found that Austin's flood information is often buried and lacks clear, plain language explanations. For example, online users must navigate through several external links to get to core flood preparedness information. And terms such as flood watch and flood warning are not always clearly explained. We also found limited tailored guidance for vulnerable populations, such as older adults, renters, unsheltered population, and visitors. When reviewing social media, we found that AWP did not always consistently share flood alerts across platforms, and Spanish language messaging was not always consistent. These gaps may leave residents and visitors uncertain of their flood risk and what actions to take to prepare for a flood. We also found limitations in how flood-related data is collected and used. While creek flooding risks are modeled using advanced technology, localized flooding responses rely on Austin 311 service request. This reactive approach may prioritize areas with more active reporters rather than areas with the highest risk. We also identified inconsistencies in how maintenance data is recorded in work order systems. These minor data issues may impact the department's ability to measure progress, identify trends, and prioritize their work effectively. For example, we found instances where a work order's completion date was before its reported date. There were also work orders that did not have a problem code to identify the problem that they were correcting. We made 2 recommendations for this audit. First, to minimize the loss of life and property, AWP should work with the city manager to ensure residents and visitors receive clear, consistent, and accessible messaging about flood risks. This includes targeted outreach to vulnerable populations and more prominent plain language information. Second, to strengthen risk prioritization and performance measurement, AWP should standardize required data elements, improve quality assurance processes, and align policies and procedures with clear data standards. I'd like to take this time to thank AWP for their partnership and their commitment to improving flood preparedness. I also encourage everyone to sign up for local emergency alerts at warrencentraltexas.org. This concludes my presentation, and I'll turn things over to Assistant City Auditor Keith Salas to answer any questions you may have.
All right. Members, you have any questions? Yes, Councilmember Fuentes.
Yes, I mean, this question is more for Director Morales.
Yeah, why don't you come up if you want to say anything, and then we'll open up for questions. I'm glad you did that, Councilmember.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. First of all, thank you for your kind remarks. It's a team effort, so the award is really a representation of the professionalism at the City of Austin. And so, yes, I want to acknowledge the 2 recommendations. We do agree with them, and we actually presented some strategies, and by the end of the year, we'll come back, give you some updates on those strategies as we move forward. It is aligning nicely with our strategic plan update, which we'll be bringing to you in the next few months as well for adoption, that we heard from our community. It was a very community-focused strategic plan update, and we heard similar concerns, comments from the community, so that's what we'll be bringing back to you as well.
That's great.
Thank you.
Yes, now Councilmember Fuentes, sorry.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Morales, because my first question was going to be, where are we with the strategic plan? So that's going to be publicized in the next few months?
Yes, Councilmember, we're actually reviewing the final draft right now. We will be presenting it to our city manager's team so they can give us feedback, and then presenting it to the council as well.
Okay. And as part of because it's this audit, thank you for the audit. It makes a lot of sense for us to be vigilant on flash flooding and preparedness for our community, especially given that Austin is in flash flood alley and that we have a history of catastrophic flooding events happening in our city. Part of the recommendations that they've outlined here as part of the audit is just looking at the localized flooding and knowing that 90% of our 311 calls are about localized flooding issues. One of the findings from the audit is honing in on the need for staff to assess the data that comes in and make those connections for us on where we need to have capital improvement projects to strengthen our flood resilience and do the mitigation. Any comments on that and on how the strategic plan, coupled with this audit finding of the need for us to use the data to inform our processes, how those will work together?
Yes, Councilmember, great point, and I appreciate the partnership with the Auditor's office as well. It's been very professional and highlighted very important things. So our department was already working on some of those things, so we have a robust program as well for the localized flooding as well. We've been not only mapping our infrastructure, but actually evaluating the capacity. We actually, other cities don't do this, but we actually TV inspect our systems as well, so we look at the conditions. And so we have a pretty robust asset management program we've been developing for the last 10 years. So we are using all that information to drive the direction so we can do some of these projects. In the past, we focus on the big projects, the big CIP projects, and localized flooding sometimes may not be a large-scale project. Many are, by the way, because it's the largest pipe under the ground. So when you displace that it affects other utilities, roadways, sidewalks, and all that. So they are complex and complicated, but there are opportunities for small, medium projects. So we are doing in-house projects in the last several years. We've put IDIQ contracts out there, so we're using those very effectively as well. Our in-house crews do a lot of maintenance and operations, but we also do some upgrades as well. So it's a whole list of things that we've been doing. And as part of the strategic plan, it's tied to the communications. The community is asking us to simplify. We're very technical. If you go look at our current strategic plan, it's very technical, a lot of formulas which we understand, but we want to simplify it. So it'll be coming out in a way that it's easy to understand exactly what it is and how we're going to prioritize. And using the information from our community, not just the science base, but also the information from the community that's experiencing these floods as well. And it's no surprise to us. We know localized flooding is a big number complaints for the 311, and so working to refine how we use that system as well. And as you all know, the city manager's office helped us do some updates in the last couple of years, so we're going to continue to make more improvements on that as well.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you for your leadership. And Director Morales, I'd like to request a follow-up meeting with you and your team, and we can go over some of the strategies that y'all have identified.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Fuentes, and thank you for your focus on flooding. I know it's been important to you. Councilmember Duchin?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for sharing this, what I found very encouraging audit and the work you've done to get us there. I had just a couple of things I wanted to touch on. One is I'd like to better understand, you've got this community rating system, I think we talked about the other day. I'd like to just better understand what the opportunities or risks are for moving up and down, given that there's apparently a financial advantage for homeowners and insurance. So I'd be curious to know what it takes, for instance, to move from a 5 to a 4 going forward, or if we're potentially ever at risk for dropping our ranking as well.
Councilmember, I'd be happy to answer that if you would like. So the community rating system is a FEMA program that the city's been part of, and last year we actually dropped from 6 to 5. That's when the benefit came from. And there was a council-approved resolution that Councilmember Fuentes brought forth that actually asked us to see what we need to do to keep bringing the score down. So we're actually in the process of hiring a program manager for helping us evaluate that. We're also working on a contract with a consultant to come in and help audit what else can we do to bring that number. It's a menu of items that we can continue to do. But to lower the score, we have to continue to do what we're doing and go above and beyond that. That's how we're going to continue to lower the score. And so through regulations, through CIP, through the communications process that we do, all collectively is how we're audited every 4 years by FEMA, and that's how we determine that rating score.
Thank you. That's great. I'll follow up then to find out more about that program, and it sounds like you're well on your way to helping us build a strategy to do that.
Yes, sir.
The other thing I just wanted to flag is regarding the recommendation for clear and consistent messaging on flood risk. And part of this is work that we did last year related to consolidating information for our website for our wildfire hub. And one of the things that we noticed was information was sort of living in different places. It wasn't exactly geared towards end users that were just trying to answer questions about how to take certain steps to, say, improve their safety of their home, mitigation, et cetera. So it might be worth a follow-up conversation and look at how we approach that. Public Information Office was incredibly helpful for how we helped work with Wildfire Division to consolidate that. I know when I, say, even tried to find, the audit alludes to it as it's the hub for flood information. When I try and find it online using those search terms, I can't find it. I have to find ATX flood safety to get there. So I sense that there are some opportunities there that we can talk about that might help align both with the work we did on wildfire as well as potentially improve the usability of that site and how owners are using it or residents are using it to access information. The last thing I wanted to touch on was when we experienced the microburst storm last year, we had widespread flooding in my area, and we had a lot of homeowners, I think, that were caught very unaware of their risks. And we're talking about like first-story units in multifamily areas that are on hills or in areas that I think are prone or have risk factors that sort of had no idea that they even need to be considering carrying flood insurance. And also an expectation that they live in a multifamily property that thinks that we should be, that the homeowner association needs to bear all the risk. So I'm wondering if there's specific education we can do there because I sense that that might be a gap, even just based on my own anecdotal experience there, where we had dozens and dozens of units flood that were, again, caught totally unaware of some of the work that they could have done to help prevent that.
A great point, Councilmember. And yes, the answer is yes, we can do better on that. We do have several programs, education programs that were identified that we could do better, and we're going to do more. So we're doing some flood annual events as well that started also by Councilmember Fuentes. So we're going to continue to do that annually. Promoting the events is very important, but also as we use the data to identify those risks that are outside the creeks, we're going to start communicating that more often so everybody, renters or homeowners, will know. And as you all know, we have a lot of visitors that come in and they're unaware and they come in for an event, and then we have flash flooding and they get caught. So we're going to continue. We do use a lot of media messaging that we do, but we're going to target some more for localized flooding and making sure people are aware of the risk. And so that's part of the work we're going to be implementing as part of this recommendation.
Okay, I look forward to it, and we'll follow up about both of those two items. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. And thank you for the report, and thank you for the response and all the good work. I want to emphasize one thing that was mentioned at the end of the report from the auditor's office, and that is anybody within the sound of my voice, sign up at warncentraltexas.org. Over the past couple of years, we have worked very, very hard to make sure that there's better communication. And as you've heard this discussion, it's clear that we're doing more and more to try to make sure that the public is aware of what's going on. And one of the key ways we can do that is when people sign up at warncentraltexas.org so that we can get them notifications. So. And I always worry about my accent messing up. It's Warn, W-A-R-N, not O-R-N, warncentraltexas.org. Even I can hear my accent on those circumstances. So thank you again, and congratulations. And please, I agree with you. It's a team effort, but it has to have good leadership. And I want you to also, on behalf of all the council, I think I can speak when saying, tell your team how proud we are. So thank you.